The year was 1968. A chill settled over Northern California. It wasn't the cool breeze off the bay, it was fear. A killer stalked the night. He was brazen, he was cunning, he was the Zodiac Killer. His motive, unknown. His identity, a mystery. The Zodiac Killer became a terrifying enigma. He was a phantom, leaving a trail of blood and terror in his wake. The Zodiac case wasn't just another homicide investigation, it was a deadly game of cat and mouse. The killer toyed with the police. He sent cryptic letters to newspapers. He boasted of his crimes. He threatened more violence. The public was captivated. Fear mingled with morbid curiosity. Who was this shadowy figure? Would he ever be caught? The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror would forever be etched in the annals of American crime. His case remains unsolved to this day, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows.
The Zodiac's confirmed victims were young couples, attacked in secluded locations. David Faraday and I were the first, shot on a December night in 1968. We were parked on a lover's lane, our lives cut tragically short.
Just 6 months later, Mike Mageau and I were attacked at a golf course parking lot. I was shot and killed. Mike survived multiple gunshot wounds, a chilling testament to the killer's brutality.
In July 1969, Bryan Hartnell and I were picnicking at Lake Berryessa. A man approached us wearing a bizarre hooded costume. He bound and stabbed us. Bryan survived the attack. I unfortunately succumbed to my injuries.
The final confirmed victim was Paul Stine, a San Francisco cab driver. Shot in the back of the head on a rainy October night, Paul's murder differed from the others. It occurred in a busy city setting, a chilling reminder of the Zodiac's audacity. The Zodiac Killer didn't limit himself to one method of killing. He used guns, knives, and even considered explosives. This variety made it difficult for investigators to establish a clear pattern. Was the killer experimenting? Was he trying to throw off the authorities? The randomness of his methods only added to the terror. No one knew how he would strike next. This unpredictability kept the public on edge, fueling the fear that gripped the Bay Area. The Zodiac also demonstrated a chilling awareness of police procedure. He carefully chose his attack locations, often secluded spots with limited visibility. He wore disguises and gloves, leaving minimal physical evidence at the crime scenes. The killer's ability to evade capture, coupled with his taunting letters, painted a picture of a cunning and ruthless mind. The lack of a clear motive only deepened the mystery. What drove this killer to commit such horrific acts? Section 4. Twisted Puzzles. The Zodiac's Cryptic Messages. The Zodiac Killer craved notoriety. He wasn't just a murderer, he was a master manipulator who thrived on the fear and confusion he sowed. He didn't just want to kill, he wanted to play games. These weren't ordinary games, but twisted puzzles that left investigators and the public alike in a state of perpetual unease. His weapon of choice? Cryptic letters and ciphers. These were not just random scribbles, but carefully crafted messages designed to taunt and terrify. Sent to Bay Area newspapers, these messages became a chilling hallmark of the case. Each letter was a piece of a larger, more sinister puzzle. The letters were often rambling and filled with misspellings, yet these errors seemed almost intentional, adding another layer of complexity to his cryptic communications. They contained boasts of his crimes, threats of future violence, and bizarre symbols that seemed to hold a hidden meaning. Each symbol, each word, was a piece of the Zodiac's dark narrative. The killer demanded that these letters be printed on the front page, threatening more bloodshed if his demands were not met. This was not just a plea for attention, but a calculated move to instill fear. The ciphers were particularly intriguing. They were not just puzzles, but potential keys to understanding the mind of a killer. These coded messages, composed of abstract symbols and letters, were seemingly impossible to crack. Were they a confession, a roadmap to his next crime, or perhaps a twisted form of self-expression, a clue to his identity? Each symbol, each letter was scrutinized for any hint that could lead to his capture, or simply another way for the Zodiac to toy with the authorities. The ambiguity of his messages only added to the frustration and fear. These cryptic messages became a central focus of the investigation. They were more than just letters, they were psychological weapons. They offered a tantalizing glimpse into the mind of a killer, yet their true meaning remained elusive. The Zodiac's cryptic messages continue to haunt us, a dark reminder of a case that remains unsolved. Section 5. The Ciphers' Secrets, Cracking the 408. Of all the ciphers the Zodiac sent, none was more infamous than the 408-symbol cipher. This particular cipher, with its intricate symbols and cryptic nature, became a focal point for both amateur and professional codebreakers alike. This complex puzzle, mailed to the San Francisco Chronicle in November 1969, captivated the public's imagination. The media frenzy that followed only added to the mystique and terror surrounding the Zodiac Killer. Codebreakers across the country raced to decipher its secrets. Universities, private citizens, and even government agencies took a stab at solving the enigma. The pressure was immense as everyone hoped that cracking the code would lead to the capture of the elusive killer. After weeks of intense scrutiny, a breakthrough came from an unlikely source. The solution did not come from a high-tech lab or a seasoned cryptographer, but from a modest home in Salinas, California. Donald and Betty Harden, a history teacher and his wife, managed to crack the code. Their methodical approach and keen insight allowed them to see patterns that others had missed. Their solution, while chilling, left investigators with more questions than answers. The message they uncovered was disturbing and cryptic, filled with misspellings and strange references. The deciphered message contained a rambling, misspelled rant. It was a disturbing glimpse into the mind of the Zodiac Killer, revealing his twisted thoughts and dark fantasies. It spoke of slavery and afterlife, but offered no concrete clues to the killer's identity. The message was both a taunt and a puzzle, designed to frustrate and confuse those who sought to bring the killer to justice. The message ended with a chilling statement: "I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife." This final line sent shivers down the spines of all who read it, a stark reminder of the Zodiac's malevolent intent. The successful cracking of the 408 cipher was a major victory, but it ultimately proved to be a hollow one. While it provided a glimpse into the Zodiac's psyche, it did not bring investigators any closer to unmasking him. The Zodiac's true identity remained shrouded in mystery. Despite the breakthrough, the killer continued to elude capture, leaving behind a legacy of fear and unanswered questions. The 408 cipher, though cracked, was just one piece of a much larger and more terrifying puzzle.
Shadows of doubt. The prime suspects. The Zodiac case remains one of the most perplexing and chilling mysteries in the annals of American crime. The identity of the Zodiac Killer has eluded investigators for decades, leading to a long list of potential suspects. Over the years, numerous individuals have been investigated in connection with the Zodiac killings. Each suspect brought with them a unique set of circumstances and evidence, some more compelling than others. Arthur Lee Allen, a former schoolteacher with a history of violence, emerged as a prime suspect. His name has been synonymous with the Zodiac case for many years, and his background raised many red flags for investigators. Circumstantial evidence linked him to the crimes. Investigators found several pieces of evidence that seemed to point directly to Allen, making him a person of significant interest. He owned a watch with the Zodiac symbol, wore the same size shoe as a footprint found at a crime scene, and even admitted to fantasizing about being a serial killer. These details painted a disturbing picture, but were they enough to convict him? However, despite the compelling evidence, Allen was never charged. The case against him, while strong in some areas, lacked the definitive proof needed for a conviction. DNA testing, conducted years later, failed to connect him to the murders. Advances in forensic science provided new avenues for investigation, but they also introduced new complexities. He died in 1992, maintaining his innocence until the end. His death left many questions unanswered, and the mystery of the Zodiac Killer unresolved.
Another suspect, Ross Sullivan, worked at the library where one of the Zodiac's confirmed victims was employed. His connection to the victim and his suspicious behavior made him a person of interest. He resembled police sketches and had a history of mental illness. These factors made him a compelling suspect in the eyes of many investigators. Like Allen, however, concrete evidence linking him to the crimes remained elusive. Despite the similarities and suspicious circumstances, there was never enough to definitively tie him to the Zodiac murders. The lack of conclusive evidence against any one suspect has fueled countless theories and speculation. The Zodiac case has become a breeding ground for amateur sleuths and professional investigators alike, each with their own theories about the killer's identity. Was the killer someone known to the victims? This question has haunted investigators and the public for years. The possibility that the Zodiac was someone familiar to the victims adds another layer of complexity to an already intricate case. The Zodiac's letters, filled with cryptic messages and taunts to the police, only deepened the mystery. These communications have been analyzed and reanalyzed, but they have yet to yield a definitive answer. Modern technology and renewed interest in cold cases continue to offer hope that one day, the true identity of the Zodiac Killer will be revealed. Until then, the case remains a haunting enigma, a puzzle that has yet to be solved. Investigators continue to review evidence, hoping that a new lead or a fresh perspective might finally bring closure to one of America's most infamous unsolved mysteries. The search for the Zodiac Killer goes on, driven by the hope that justice will eventually be served.